The first rule of safeguarding is always to do not harm. Harm is defined as deliberately inflicting physical injury. We will add emotional injury to this definition as well, which makes us responsible for the emotional and physical safety of our people, of our congregations, of our communities. It's important to identify an incident. The paramount attitude of safeguarding is awareness. We're on the lookout for incidents. An incident is an event, condition, or situation that does one or more of the following. It risks members' emotional or physical safety. It attracts negative attention or reputation to the community. It impairs the operation of a community. It disrupts regularly scheduled activity. There are different types of incidents for us to look for. When you're in a gaming environment, it's surprising how regularly incidents arise, particularly with youth and young adults. Arguments, challenges to rules, challenges to the arbiter of the rules, and emotional outbursts at unexpected events in the game are normal occurrences. Even among adults, frustration and negotiation are pretty common. When a risk, negative attraction, impairment, or disruption occurs in the community, the next step is to define what kind of incident it is. Most safety protocols in the workplace identify the following spectrum. A traumatic event is a physical and/or emotional harm that threatens life as we know it. An adverse effect is the result of something done or left undone that causes harm. Although harm isn't caused directly, it's happened nonetheless. A near miss is an incident in which a trauma does not occur, but the possibility of a trauma was present and therefore needs to be brought to the community's attention. A red flag is a situation in which no traumatic events, adverse effects, or near misses were experienced, but the potential for a possible incident in the future is present. Gaming events naturally encourage transient players and new faces. Most times, I didn't see the same participants twice in a row. Keeping a written record of incidents will help identify individuals who display behaviors that require a pastoral response. Writing the incident up on the day it occurs will also free up bandwidth for other tasks for you. Anytime you find yourself in an incident at your game, you need to write it up, write about it in detail that same day. There are multiple tools that may help prevent and respond to incidents. The following list is the top half of a dozen that helped when I ran Dungeons & Dragons game nights and online gaming sessions. The first is set policies before you start and then edit them often. It's amazing how few ministries, programs, and communities maintain active policies. One definition I learned of policies was, quote, standards learned the hard way. Creating and maintaining a central document of policies works the same way as a customary in liturgy and worship. It's a great tool to use in forming community covenants and codes of conduct when gaming in a community, which leads to number 2, create a covenant and/or a code of conduct. A covenant is a behavior agreement that is signed or adhered to upon entrance to a community. Punitive responses to covenantal breaks or misconduct are usually not helpful in today's society. Covenants are effective in steering conversations about behaviors, beliefs, and reconciliation when it's needed. 3 is a communications matrix. Set standards for safe communication within the community. One of the most popular safe communication standards in the gaming culture is an X card. Every player has a card with a big letter X on it. At any point during the game, if something someone is doing makes them uncomfortable, triggers a negative emotion or a trauma response or any negative response, the person can hold up their X card and the group takes a break. The gamer pastor then checks in with the person privately and follows incident protocol. 4, you all live in a fishbowl. The best tool to communicate to all participants and leaders is the following mantra: avoid even the appearance of impropriety. This is similar to the idea of not doing anything that your grandma would not approve of and applies to all levels of participants in a community. After some time with the intentional use of these practices, the community becomes self-regulating. Players look out for each other's emotional and physical safety, and the gaming covenant is upheld by all people equally. 5 is respond in the moment. There can be no learning if the debrief of an incident happens so far from the events that details are lost. It's okay to stop the game and respond to behavior at any point. This way, the community can own behavior, learn the belief that drives the behavior, and respond with kindness and compassion. and if it needs to, set new standards or remind of existing ones and work towards reconciliation. This must be a response to the incident, not a response that occurs later in the week or in another space. Any hurt that is done in the minute needs to be honored, addressed, and shown to the group that respect and reconciliation are foundational practices for your community. I can't stress this enough. Online gaming is brutal. Playground games are brutal. However, it's only brutal because there's not a leader present who can address the harmful behavior and then model a mature, structured response to an incident at the moment. Be vigilant and respond in the moment. And 6, teachable moments should be clarifying, not punitive. Our singularly greatest adversary when safeguarding is actually embarrassment. When something is said or done that causes harm to another person, a typical emotional response is for both parties to feel embarrassed, humiliated, guilty, or shamed. A punitive response typically exacerbates these negative emotions. A clarifying response, managed with compassion and understanding, can lead to positive formation and character development. It is impossible to promise a safe space in today's society because we as leaders cannot promise that the behavior of everyone in the room will be safe. Nor do we know what safe means to everyone. Most times we don't know an environment is not safe until we're exposed to it. Every time we try to set up a safe space, the question must always be, safe for whom? There will always be someone, regardless of our best intentions, who will not feel 100% safe 100% of the time in our spaces. However, brave spaces allow vulnerability, growth, and mutual respect to be modeled. Brave spaces allow us to respond to incidents in ways that empower growth from every person. Safeguarding in an environment where everyone is winning, losing, or wrestling with functions that are not normal is not about being on guard. Safeguarding is about being flexible and honest with big emotions and managing disruptive behavior.